If you're watching me right now, then it's obvious you are alive, and living things have to keep growing. This explains why every now and then we feel this need to expand. There is this deep longing for higher heights and deeper seas, and we just want to move further in life. But this beautiful feeling of wanting to grow often quickly turns into this dreaded emotion of feeling stuck. Why? Because that expected growth is not happening. And why is this growth not happening? Because we do not make room for growth. When you want to add more clothes into your closet, you make room. When your family increases numerically, you make room. Even a pregnant woman's womb expands in preparation for that new human being that's going to be growing on the inside of her. Have you made room for that growth that you so desire? And how do we go about making this room for growth? If you want to find out how, keep watching. Now this is going to be a two-part video, and in today's video I'll be sharing with you the first and most important step in making room for growth, and that is to identify where you need growth in your life. Do you need to grow spiritually, socially, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially? You know, if you are going to really make room for growth, you have to even be more specific, not just I want to grow or I need to grow socially or emotionally. You know, where exactly do you want to grow? Maybe you're beginning to think that you need to redefine your relationships. Maybe you want to connect with people in different ways and at different levels. Maybe emotionally you feel like if I must soar to this highest or higher height, then I have to lay aside this baggage that I've been carrying all along so I can fly. You know, or maybe you're seeing that this same old ways are not serving you anymore. It's time for new ways. It's time for a new mindset. You have to be specific in order to know what kind of a room you have to create for this growth. Now I'm going to show you how important it is to be specific when identifying where you need growth in your life. And I'm going to do so by briefly sharing with you this sad story of how my beautiful green plants, which you have seen in most of my videos, ended up dead. Sometime this summer, I noticed that my plant was no longer blooming and flourishing the way that it normally does. And this was during a 2-week period that we had traveled back to back. So I thought maybe, you know, it did not get the attention that it normally gets. And so I went ahead to ensure that it had the sunlight that it needed. I softened the soil, I watered it, I pruned some of the branches that needed to be pruned, and I was like, yep, I think you're good to go. I think you're going to start blooming and flourishing all over. But I was wrong. A few days later, I noticed that the plant was not soaking up the water and things were still going downhill. And so I started to think about hydrophobic soil, and I was like, I don't want no hydrophobic soil. My plant needs water, so I think it's time to repot. And I've repotted before, it did well, and so I decided to get new soil, took the plant out, I checked the roots, they were still healthy. Old soil gone, new soil, and I brought everything in, continued to give it the nutrients that it deserved. And I knew, okay, now I think you're going to start blooming, flourishing, thriving. I was wrong. Everything kept going downhill. So I started researching and looking for solutions to save my plants, and then I remembered something I had noticed but I ignored. I had noticed when I was repotting the plant that the roots had really grown. They were at the bottom of that pot looking for where to go, but because I had changed the soil, I just ignored. I felt like, well, there's new soil, they're going to still get the nutrients that they need and they'll continue to bloom, flourish and thrive. But I was wrong. That plant in that season needed room for growth. Now, do you see how important it is to be specific when identifying the area where you need growth? It's not like this plant did not need the sunlight, the water, the new soil and the softening and the pruning. It needed that. Without all of those other things, even after increasing the pot size, that plant would still not bloom, would still not flourish, would still not thrive. It needed all of that. But this aspect of expanding the pot was very vital in that season. Many times when we feel stuck or there's this yearning for growth, we just run out there and start to add on to ourselves. You know, we gather from here emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You know, we're just gathering from all over. Maybe I need a new car. Maybe I need to relocate. Maybe I need a new house, a better job, a better degree. You know, all of those things. Again, these things are not bad. Again, these are things that you need. But is that the area of growth for you at this moment? It's not like these things are not important. Remember the story I've just narrated to you about the plant. That plant needed the sunlight I was giving it. It needed the water. It needed the pruning. It needed all that softening of the soil. But what was vital for it in that season, like I said, was having room in the roots. There is always an area in your life that needs more growth than the other, so you have to give it that attention, and at times it comes in seasons. Many times the growth that is happening in this season is going to sustain you in your next season. Maybe that emotional growth, financial growth, spiritual growth that you're experiencing right now is going to sustain you in your next season. When you receive that blessing, you'll be able to handle it from a place of spiritual maturity. When you face that challenge, you'll be able to handle it from a place of emotional maturity. You know, so you have to not skip these seasons. You know, look at the story of the plants that I just explained to you. If those roots were in their best shape, right? If they had the nourishment that they needed, the space, the room that they needed, and they were in their best shape, then in those seasons when I was away and the plant was not really getting enough sunlight and maybe water, those roots would have sustained that plant until I got back. Have you identified what areas of your life need growth? If yes, then please share with me in the comment section below. Which of those areas do you find the most challenging to grow in? But if not, then please do identify those areas in your life that need growth. And in the next video, we're going to look at how to make room for growth in those specific areas. And when you make room for growth, growth will happen, and you will not only grow, but you are going to bloom and flourish and thrive in your everyday life. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you in the next.